It's time for the Ella Johnson Show. Thanks for tuning in to the Ella Johnson Show, where there are two sides to every story. Enjoy the broadcast. Stay tuned. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ella Johnson Show. I am so excited. Listen, it's been an amazing month. It's Black History Month all month long here on the Ella Johnson Show. So I just want to thank you guys that have been with us all month. I hope you're enjoying the conversations. Feel free to join us at any time that you want to be on the broadcast. If you're watching from Facebook, do me a favor and share like there's no sharing. Just keep sharing the broadcast because we want everyone to hear this story tonight about Nat Turner. If you're watching from YouTube, thank you as well, and LinkedIn and all of the other platforms. But we want to thank you for that. And thank you to all of you who have subscribed. I appreciate it. I see you. But if you are new tonight watching the Ella Johnson Show, please subscribe to my channel so that we can get our views up. Are you guys excited tonight? Yes? Yes.
I am.
Yes.
I am very excited.
We got new blood tonight, y'all, in the house. We got new blood. Listen, I like the tradition here is that everyone just kind of introduces themselves. I'm going to start with you, Heather, so that because I forgot to tell you, Jasmine. But Heather, tell us who you are.
I'm Heather. I'm Heather Nash with the Deep Greenwood Foundation, Executive Director. We focus on finding descendants, certifying them, and preserving the Greenwood District.
And she's also a descendant of the Tulsa Race Massacre. She kind of forgot to tell y'all that part, but but we're so glad to have you, Heather. Thank you so much. And then Miss Jasmine, tell everybody who you are.
All right, my name is Jasmine. I work at OSER. It is a bracing and prosthetic company. Nothing really fancy about me, but I'm excited to be here and discuss what needs to be discussed, and we need to have a constant reminder of our history. So.
Totally agree. I want you guys to share with me, like tonight we're going to talk about Nat Turner. If you're just tuning in, this conversation is one that I'm sure you guys saw the movie Birth of a Nation. There are two. I'm talking about the one that was released in 2016. But we want to talk about it because this is a real story. It happened in our history. This is Black History Month, and we're telling these stories so that we know, okay, where do we go from here, kind of thing, right? That's the idea, is because I think we have to understand our past so we don't repeat it. So what did you guys think about Nat Turner? Just your initial reaction to him of hearing his story. And when did you first hear his story, Heather?
I first heard his story, I think I was probably in my 20s when I first heard about Nat Turner. So I'm 54 now. So I was shocked when I heard it. I don't know, in some ways it kind of made me proud that there was a revolt, that Black people did stand up.
So what about you, Jazz? Yeah.
I feel like I heard about Nat Turner when I was younger, like a child, because we did a lot of Black history at my school, but I didn't really understand the concept or grasp the meaning of the story until I saw Birth of a Nation, which became one of my favorite movies because it actually gave you a visual of what happened, what the meaning behind it was and the reasoning to why they did what they did. So it really made me do a lot of research on the back end after I saw the movie, and I learned a lot more. But that was basically how I was introduced to it at an older age, where it actually made sense and I can understand it.
I think that's impressive that you learned this at an early age, because I was a grown, rusty woman when the first time I heard about this was the movie.
Right?
Yeah. one of my favorite Black history stories that exists. Looks like Charlie has joined the party. Let's bring him on up so he can tell everybody who he is. Charlie, welcome back. You've been with us all month. We appreciate you, my friend. Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Well, just tell everybody briefly who you are.
Well, my name is Charlie McCants. I'm in Mobile, Alabama. I have an ABA basketball team where I give young men the opportunity of living their dreams of playing professional basketball. And in addition to that, I partner with the largest legal service company in the US and Canada, providing an individual access to the justice system.
All right. Well, welcome to the Ella Johnson Show. Of course, everyone that just tuning in, we're talking about Nat Turner tonight. We want your conversation. We want to know your questions. Tell us your questions. Make your comments. Tell us who you are. Tell us where you're watching from, right? We want to make sure everybody gets involved in this conversation tonight. But I want to start off by showing you guys just a little short video so that we can kind of get in the swing of things here and get our conversation started. All right? Is that okay? Yes?
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
Nat Turner is
brilliant man.
A rebel spirit.
Way ahead of his time.
incredibly brave. I think he's the ultimate American hero.
Nat Turner is one of the most controversial Americans in history, period. He was an enslaved preacher in 1831.
You listen to him, and you might just make it into heaven.
He had been farmed out by his master to preach to neighboring plantations.
Slaves, submit yourselves to your masters with all respect, not only to those who are good and considerate, but also to those who are harsh.
This was a man who was saying, if I am to be a messenger of God, then I have to do something.
The Lord spoken to me, visions of what's to come, a rise of good against evil.
What are we gonna do?
We'll fight.
He was somebody who was standing up for what he believed in such a pure and authentic way. And because of that, he was able to recruit a bunch of people.
Nat Turner led the most successful slave rebellion in the history of our country.
He was able to do something that was seemingly impossible. So what he achieved at that time was an act of real, true revolution.
Most people don't know Nat Turner, the history, the motivation. So I think this film is doing enormously important work. It's bringing a historical narrative that really illuminates the context of what we're going through in America today.
Beware of false prophets who come dressed in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravening wolves.
We don't imagine slaves to be heroes. So for the first time, I really understood what this man did.
If the Lord's called you to fight, you fight. You fight for us all.
It is important to know those parts of American history that we don't get to know, but they're also crucial to our understanding of what America is.
He sowed the seeds of rebellion. We harvested it in the abolition of slavery.
Through desegregation, through the civil rights movement, into Black Lives Matter, this Black revolutionary thought is everything that Nat Turner stood for and stands for today.
On to Jerusalem.
On to Jerusalem!
The story of Nat Turner is a relevant story. It is a story that makes sense to discuss in 2016. We want to learn from our history, right? We want to learn from the past. And I think this film hopefully will incite a conversation.
I hope that it encourages people to stand up against oppression, even against tremendous odds.
Praise the Lord! Praise the Lord!
For this to be someone's introduction to Nat Turner, I think is exceptional because it's for you to go into the history books, for you to go to Google, for you to research even more who Nat Turner is.
This is about a person who is tired of enslavement. This is a person who's saying enough is enough. And that story should inspire all Americans, not just African Americans or Black people in this country. This is an American film.
You're waiting on something. You're waiting on us.
And hopefully what people will see is an American hero.
Stand with us. Stand.
Wow. Woo. So, First reactions to that. Let's talk a little bit about that video before we get started, guys. What did you think about that, Charlie? When you first saw this movie, I mean, just from that video, we learned a few things without even talking about the story. I want to point out some things that I thought were words like incredibly brave, uh, how people saw Nat. He was incredibly brave. Most controversial story in a history of somebody fighting back, especially slaves. He led that. And what else? Like I saw that little clip in there. Did y'all see that part where he was teaching them? And then it's almost like he was looking for their approval of what he was saying. Did you catch that?
Yeah. Yeah.
What is that? What do you when you see that? What exactly did you get from that feeling? I think they captured that well because that's the essence of this story. It was about reusing religion to keep the slaves under control. So when you see that and how it came across, how did that feel when you guys saw that?
I think practically anything you do, especially when you're dealing with people, you want to know if they are receiving what you're saying. It's kind of like using a receiver and a transmitter. You want to make sure that what you are saying is going out to where everybody can hear it. And when, even like if you're giving a speech, when you notice certain people how they might be leaning into what you're saying, they're really tied to what's being said. That kind of puts you in a position to know that what you are saying is meaningful, and what you in his case, what he was talking to them about, that
Yeah.
they're gonna be on board. And I think that's great in anything that you do, to know that those that are there, that they're going to stand with you and behind you with whatever you're going to do.
So here's the thing, guys. They told you, this is to you guys, they told you that he was a monster because they were terrified of a black man who could read the sky and the Bible better than they could. In 1831, Nat Turner stopped asking for a seat at the table, okay, and started burning the house down, literally. This isn't just a history lesson. It's the autopsy of an American police state built specifically to stop men just like him. Nat Turner didn't just fail to reach the armory, okay? He forced the system to show its hand. The laws they passed to stop him, the surveillance, the censorship, the fear, same walls we are still trying to tear down today. Real talk. Okay? This is it. The rebellion isn't over. The battlefield just moved. That's it. So tonight I wanted to have this story because I think that we're still going through some of this, honestly. I really do. I think that we're still seeing some of this in our culture today. And I know people don't want to hear that. We want to think that we've moved from that. But tonight, you're going to see some of what they did as a punishment. You're going to see some of that still lurking around. You never thought about it because you may not have had the time to compare the two, but they parallel, guys. And that's alarming to me. Because when people are sitting here, we don't have to wonder what the next move is of the administration. Just know your history because they know it. All right. And they know what works. That's why that part where that man, where they knew that he would keep the slaves in control with religion. Have you guys ever wondered, and I know I'm getting ahead of myself, have you ever wondered why whenever politicians, especially Caucasian politicians, want to come and speak to the black people, where do they always go?
Church.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
You ever wonder why? Jasmine, you ever wonder why?
I mean, I never really thought about it until now, but I mean, I feel like that is where they know that they can gain our trust, and, they can speak to people that will, use religion as a way to try to bring it into politics. So I feel like they come to the church, and then the church is one of those people that go out and try to gather more people to come in. So they think if they come to the church, we're going to go out and try to recruit more and more and more, and then they'll have us on their side. But, you know, we need to be careful because we don't want to give the wrong message.
Ooh, so how is it, Charlie, that they're able to get so many of our leaders and pastors to agree to let them come in and capture us that way? Is it maybe because they've always done it? What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, you know, if you are doing something that works, it's quite
There
natural.
it is.
That's what you want to do. Because if it's the case that with you know, a pastor and his congregation, you know, if you can say something that will move the pastor to allow you to
Check
come
maybe.
in,
I don't
then
know,
once
maybe a
you,
check. What do you think, Heather? Maybe a
well,
check. You think that'll move them?
Oh God, yes. Oh yes. Jesus, yes.
Money will
You
always
say
win.
whatever. I say whatever you want, sir. And I'm not down with that, not at all. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Charlie. You can complete
yeah,
your thought.
I mean, but that's the way it happens.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, you know, I'm gonna give your church a donation, and you know, would you allow me to come in and speak to them?
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, you know, hey, it's just one after the other.
There's so many lessons tonight in this story, guys. I really want you to just kind of stick with us throughout the night because I promise you, you're going to learn a lot about Nat. So let's kind of carry his story through, guys, because we want to make sure that we're taking it piece by piece. Now, everybody know he was in Southampton, Virginia, 1831. He was born October 2nd. And as a little boy, right, he always had this desire to read. One account says that when he was just a little kid, when he would cry, they would give him a book to make him stop crying. Like literally, that would make him stop crying if they gave him a book. Some say that he was taught by the slave owners, that the children, they kind of helped each other and they taught him. And then some accounts say that his parents taught him to read and write. But nonetheless, he just always had this thirst, but he also had this desire with the Bible and learning about God. Okay. So do you guys think it was common back then for people to be, were they more religious or spiritual? Heather, what do you think?
Oh, probably more religious. And I think partly because religion was introduced to us as a way to control us. And so I think we were probably more religious than we were spiritual.
Yeah. Well, he was a deeply religious guy. Nat Turner was. But he also had a wife. His wife was Cherry. You guys saw her in that little clip. And you know, some accounts say that they did have a son, maybe a daughter. You know, the records and everything is kind of shoddy because, I mean, look how long ago it was. So everything is alleged here. This is just me doing my research and bringing it to you guys. So if you find that, oh, Ella, that's not exactly true, then, you know, maybe I read a bad account. So blame it to the head, not the heart. But we do know that he was religious, that he loved reading the Bible. And in the movie, there came a time where they came to him to teach the other slaves. Now, this is not a new thing, right? Why do you think it was easier for them, Jasmine, to get someone else to teach the slaves as opposed to them trying to get the slaves to get together and get in line? Why do you think it was easier for them to use Nat to do that?
Well, because it's a form of trust. You know, you're going to trust somebody who is in the same situation as you know what I mean? So they use Nat as pretty much a pawn to force him kind of to say and do what they wanted to get the people to listen, you know, because a lot of the times, if you notice in the movie, they're telling him what scriptures to read and what message to give, regardless of what he actually feels. And it was all control. You know, they wanted you to listen to the scriptures that talked about power and slavery and, you know, Nothing that is going to give them the knowledge or even a thought to, go off and think, oh, I should be free. This is not what I'm supposed to be doing. So it was all control, just to keep the control.
Yeah. What do you think, Charlie, about that? Would you like to add?
Well, another thing that I think about is that the ability to learn was really denied to them, and now here's an opportunity to be able to do it without having to the one that knew how to sneak around and do it. It was there open. So you would think that when a person desires something and it's presented to them, they will grasp it, even without a whole lot of coaxing them on to do it. And I think that, with that in mind, it just made it easier for them for it to happen.
So, Heather, do you think that this is maybe where it came from, that we are so trusting of the pastor? Because Nat was acting as their pastor, if you will, the leader. So it's like, okay, well, we can't read. We don't really know if he's telling the truth or not, but we're going to trust him. And I think that is what that carried right on through our culture, that you don't question the pastor. That's, I think, where that loyalty became, because I really do. What do you guys think about that, Heather?
Yeah, I definitely think that religion is a good way to control people and to use somebody, like Jasmine said, that you can trust to tell the story of religion. It's a way to control us. And then now we see that even today, even though I think our congregations are just as smart as our pastors now. So it's hard for a pastor to be able to just tell congregations anything anymore, because we're more educated. But
they'll call you out, won't they?
Yes, in a heartbeat. So no, I do think that it's a way to control. And white people, they used him. I think there's like kind of a double-edged sword here. They had him teaching them religion, but not realizing that him learning to read was his freedom out. And it was his way of headed toward killing those 55 white people. Because he was able to read, he was able to become more free. And so he wasn't just looking at religion. He's probably reading newspapers too.
And teaching others. I feel like just because he was doing what they wanted him to do while they were watching, you don't know what he was going off to the side doing. He might have been showing other enslaved people how to read and write so they can get the knowledge, versus just reading the scripture to them,
So what I want y'all to get from that point, that education gives you choices.
Absolutely.
He educated himself, and he had a choice now, a choice to believe and do what they said, or do what he knew in his heart God wanted him to do. He had a choice. So do you. Now that we can read, now that we can and get on the internet and learn for ourselves, you also have a choice. You don't have to just believe me on the Ella Johnson Show. Get in there and read it for yourself. You don't just believe what the pastor said. Get in there and read it for yourself. Educate yourself. Education gives you choices. So now we know the story. Nat had these visions. Okay. He had these visions. Can you imagine that you're having to sit there and tell this stuff, and you're leading your people wrong, but because you got that Bible in your hand, they trust you? Can you imagine what that may have felt like, Jasmine? Like, really?
Yeah, I can only imagine what was going on through his head, because I know he had some doubts. This is something that's going to change the world, you know what I mean? Yeah. So of course there was doubts and reservation, but like when you have that vision and you feel that spirit, it's almost like you have to follow it. I feel like that's what he felt. He had to follow it. And how to get the followers to believe that this is something that should be done was probably the hardest part, because if somebody came up to me and said,
Girl,
hey, we're going to go kill a bunch of people, I don't know.
We're still trying to get people to vote. Of course, it is still difficult to get us together. But in his visions, it says that he saw a vision of white and black spirits in battle. Black and white spirits in battle. And in 1828, he believed he received a command from God, okay, to fight against the serpent. Fight against the serpent. Now imagine you're sitting here and you're like, and then when the sun turned like bluish green, the people were like, maybe he is. Maybe he's a jet. They started trusting him. They started believing it.
Mm-hmm.
Now
It's one of those, you got to see it for yourself.
yeah, because they're just like, this guy must have some divine, there must be something divine going on here with him. I mean, look at this. The sun is changing. There's blood on the corn. Y'all remember that they talked about how there was blood on the corn as well? That represented Jesus sprinkling, or he was in turmoil or something to that effect. So now there's an eclipse. Solar eclipse happened. This is kind of where it all got started. And he waited. He said, there's going to come a time when there's a signal. Now he has to kind of recruit. He has to recruit people. So he started out with Henry, Mark, Nelson, and Sam. They met at the cabin pond and talked it over. Of course, they were like, okay, what are we going to do? So just imagine in modern day times, let's get some people together. Hey, look, we're just going to go ahead and kill everybody. We're tired of them just, doing whatever they've done to us. We're tired. Enough is enough. And we need y'all to come together. Okay, well, wait a minute. What you mean? We're going to kill them? Like, kill them? Yeah, we're going to kill them. That's the only way we're going to get out of this. We're going to have to kill them. Can you imagine that conversation? Like, I said it so easily, but I'm saying it to people who are educated, who can read. He was saying it to people that just had to trust him. Yeah. Now, I will say this. In some accounts, I heard that he had a difficult time convincing some of us.
I'm sure he did.
That's always.
Yeah.
What do you think about that, Charlie? He had a difficult time because they were like, what you mean? When I got it with the master's good. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, absolutely. Because you're not going to get everybody to agree or follow. Makes no difference how good it is.
Right.
And I'm sure even back then, it's the same as the way it is now. Because just think if you have an organization that you created that's going to benefit the community, even voting, like as an example, we know the power of getting people out to vote. What can take place, something that need to be happening now for November, but you're going to still have those that will sit, even though they know, they will sit and not get on board to get you where you need to go or where you feel like everybody needs to be.
I hope that's not people that are watching the Ella Johnson show. Everybody watching Ella Johnson show is going to vote, right? Yes. We got you, boo. Yeah, because it's one thing to not know, but it's another thing to now know and still not do. When you know better, you what? Do better.
Do better.
Right? So,
and then I also feel like with him trying to recruit others to kind of join this, you have to think about back in those days, they didn't know anything other than slavery. So if they had it good and their masters weren't beating them and treating them like some other masters were, then they're not going to want to leave. Where else are they're thinking in their mind, what else are we going to do? Where are we going to go? We don't know anything else. So the fear of not knowing what's going to happen if we do this, that's huge. You don't know what this is going to do to your family. They were already ripping families apart. So they were already probably trying to be as good as possible to make sure that their sons and daughters aren't ripped away. And this is something that would definitely cause havoc. So,
and also too, also too is, for the ones who had ran away, they knew the consequences of that taking place.
Absolutely.
And then when you think about it, you're being advised that, okay, we're going to do this to get away. I'm quite sure in their mind, I don't want to be another subject like people that I've known in the past.
That's right. That's right.
But one thing he did that and I read this years ago, and then I kind of saw it in the movie too. But he recruited only like 4 or 5 people that he knew he could trust to go in there and do the initial murders. So that way, the people, when he come to the people after he's killed these people, they almost don't have a choice. And so, I mean, I felt kind of bad for the house slave, the light-skinned man that was so upset, you know.
Yeah, in the
You know,
movie.
yes,
Poor
because
thing.
I felt his pain, but I was like, but in some ways, I was sitting there thinking, God, I think I had to go ahead and kill too. Now I don't know. I felt bad for him. Dang, I needed to stay here because life was good for me. I'm in the house, but but I mean,
But
the
you
other
think
one,
about it, that's kind of how we are today too. We get comfortable and we don't
yeah.
want to mess up that. We don't know how
Mhm.
to be comfortable being uncomfortable. So we'll take whatever we got. Like, look at here. Ain't
Mhm.
nothing better than what we got here. Isn't that how Malcolm X said it? We sick. We sick. Boss, you hear
Yeah.
that? They take on the mindset of the master. So in their
Yeah.
mind, they felt like, here's another account I got, guys, that there were people that protected the master
Yep.
against the people that were fighting them.
Mhm.
Now
Yeah.
take that one. Is that not the same thing we're doing now? I mean,
Yeah.
we still got that. That's what I'm telling you. Nothing new under the sun, guys. Thank you for Sabrina for answering that question. Terry asked, I don't want to keep up with our guests. What is Nat Turner famous for? Assassination of white slave owners. Yeah, he led a rebellion in Southampton, Virginia, Terry. And it was the one time when people say that, oh, blacks just sat there and took it. No, not these. They were like, enough is enough. We're gonna kill some, but I got to die. I'm gonna take some with me. That was kind of, I'm paraphrasing, but I'm sure they talked something like that. So that's kind of what Nat is famous for. So he's getting his posse together. All right. He's getting them and he's like, look, this is how we're gonna do it. And they were scared. I can completely understand it. But there were more of them though. This is why they were able to do it. But let's talk about what happened at 2:00 in the morning. They set out. Where did they start? His own master's house, Mr. Travis. Now, here's the thing that I read some accounts where they said he kind of low key felt bad because Mr. Travis had been good to him. He did say, I did see that he was just like, he got to die too, though. I mean, he wrestled with it and then he made a decision. Okay. And so he made that decision and they went in and they didn't have guns because, guys, this is one of the things that they didn't want to have guns because they didn't want to cause a lot of ruckus. So they went in quietly. I mean, they're killing everybody.
Yeah.
They're killing everybody. So just to kind of get us along through the story, how did they get caught? Do y'all remember how they got caught? How because they killed like 55 men, women, children. I mean, they didn't care. They were killing babies too, kids, families. Like they were tired of being enslaved and being treated the way they were. They were just fed up, guys. And I can get it. You get to that point, you're like, look, if I got to die, I'd rather die than be a slave. And that may be what they kind of got to. How did they get caught, Charlie?
Well, I know. Go ahead. Yeah,
Oh,
I was
Jess.
I know. Well, I just was gonna say I know that Nat Turner went into hiding, but that's about as far as I know. Where,
Yeah.
I know he got caught eventually.
Well, how did they find out about him? Oh, that's a better question. How did they find out that this was going on?
Wasn't it another slave?
No, it was when they were killing folks. There was one white lady that hid in the closet.
Oh.
And as soon as they left, she went and told.
Oh, wow.
I guarantee you there was probably somebody in his group whose job was to make sure
nobody was around.
Now, don't you leave nothing open here. You make sure we get everybody now. And they may have slipped on their job. I'm going to tell you guys some of their mistakes. But that's how they found out. They alerted people, and boy, it was on then. It was on. They had guns. They were able to pick up on their trail, and I'm going to tell you how. They made some crucial mistakes.
Was that in the movie?
I don't know. I'm not sure that part.
So.
I don't think that part was in the movie. In the movie, they made it look like it was one of their hours that told.
Mm-hmm.
But that's based on my research. No, it was a woman that was hiding in a closet. She was able to get away. She's the one that led them to him.
Number 56.
So they finally caught up to him, guys, and they killed, I think it was like up to 200 of us. And a lot of people that were innocent were killed. They were just pissed because he was hiding and they couldn't find him, so they made him pay. Oh, okay, so you want to stay in hiding? We killing everybody we see. Children. Me and everybody was getting killed, guys. So what do you think about this story so far, guys? What are you feeling now, knowing a little bit more of the details?
Well, being that I live in the, I was born in 1971 and I'm living in the 2000s, I'm proudful. I'm prideful about this. I really am. I think these are kind of good stories that need to be told, that Trump them don't want in books. I was really shocked when Jasmine said that she learned this in school, because this
I
is
know. I'm
one of
like, what
those
school did
stories.
you go to?
Yeah.
I
I'm
went
sitting
to
here
a
thinking that's gotta
private
be
I went to a private Baptist school, so that was
Black.
honestly the only history I was taught. Yeah, it was Black history. I
Okay.
didn't learn
So it's a
American
black
history until
school?
high school. So it was a Black school. It was all
Oh,
Black
okay,
school,
okay.
and it was a Baptist school. So we learned about, I mean, we had to sing the Black national anthem, all 3 verses every morning for devotion. So that was the type of school I went to. So yeah, I mean, but of course they dumbed it down for the sake of us being children, but I do remember his name as a child, you know what I mean? And I do remember doing my own research and learning a lot more the older that I got, because of course I can understand it a little bit better now. And then the movie, the movie opened my eyes up a lot. So
Yeah.
Right.
I I I don't know. I think those are the type of stories that need to be told to our children. Because I'll give you an example. One
absolutely.
time, I'm a jokester. I can be messy, but my kids, we were driving back from Mississippi one time and we passed this cotton field. So I asked my kids to go get some cotton out of this field. And I forgive what I'm about to say, but told my daughter, I sent my boys out to get the cotton. And I told my daughter, I said, look at those 2 niggas picking cotton. But, and that's ugly, but it's just the reality. And I think that sometimes we have to face those truths just like white kids have to face those truths. I mean, our kids are ashamed of coming from slaves, but we did some great things. And Nat Turner's story is a great thing when you're in a bad situation. And during that time when there was no laws for killing somebody Black. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think those are things that are jolting that can make Black kids a little bit more proud, even though it's murder. It's an awful thing. But I mean, I look at that and I'm like, golly, it almost reminds me of Superman. He did something super great at a time that we needed to be fighting back.
I
Yeah.
want people to pay attention to who he was. He was not only just a pastor, but he was also young. He was a young man. That was bold. So let's keep talking. I want to talk about the mistakes. They got caught up too. A lot of people killed. And what happened when they shot through that first row? Oh, they dismantled, they scattered, people running in the fields at this point. They realized, okay, this is over. Now Nat was able to get away. Nat was able to get away. So while he was in hiding, they would show up at the plantation every day thinking they're going to catch up, find somebody slipping. Now, I guarantee there's somebody knew where he was, right? But nobody was snitching. Nobody was
Yeah.
talking about it.
And they
Nobody
were
was,
torturing people that
oh,
wouldn't
yeah.
talk, to try to get
People
them
were
to
getting
speak, and they
killed.
wouldn't. Yeah.
Yeah, people were literally getting killed because they wouldn't talk. They were mad. And I'll be honest with you. During that time, some of the African Americans were kind of low key pissed with him because they're like, "Oh, okay, so he started this thing, and now he's hiding while we are here getting killed." I can understand people saying that, right, guys?
Yeah.
Can you understand that, Charlie? Can you understand why they would be like, "Nat, what's up? If you just show up there, stop killing us." I'm
Yeah,
sure somebody said that.
absolutely. Because if you were there in the beginning, you should be here now. I'm quite sure that's what many of them thought. Because it's the same thing as now. If you start a fight and when it get deep and heavy, you look around and the person that started, they're not there. That weighs heavy on your mind on what your next step is going to be.
No, that's right. I
Mhm,
bet.
mhm.
And one thing I did think about with this was why didn't he have a plan outside of after these murder these people, which direction are we gonna go to get out of here too? That kind of, I was like, golly, they didn't even have a plan for where they're going afterwards. You know, you gonna kill these people. People gonna be looking for y'all.
Now what? Right.
Yeah. Where do we go next? You know, we should have been killing you on your way out. Is what happening.
I'm
Just, I
sure
don't know.
now they would be a little more sophisticated, but they were just mad, Heather. They didn't figure it all out.
I know. I was like, God, but he was smart.
I'm like, y'all gonna kill people and go back home? Like, come on.
Because at one point in the movie, it kind of felt like they were like gonna take over the house. We can live here now. That's what it kind of felt like. I was like, y'all can't live here.
Right? I'm like, it's funny, but it's like they weren't sophisticated. Because
No.
It was growing, guys. He started out with that 4 or 5, but it got up to like 70 to 75 people that joined. He said that as we start doing this, people will join us. And that's exactly what happened. So now it's so big that he's losing his control. They're not listening. And it was just all over the place. Now, this happened, Terry, 48 hours. It took 2 days for them to start and it to be all over. It was that quick.
That's the same as the Greenwood.
Exactly. That's exactly what happened with Greenwood in 2 days.
Yeah.
So now he's on the run. He's on the run, hiding. He's in caves and everywhere hiding. How he got caught was there was a dog. And this farmer's dog or something started sniffing around. He was smelling meat. Led him straight to Nat. And that's how he should have just shot the dog.
Yeah.
Right? Kicked him, fought him, something. I know that's dramatic, but the dog gave him up, and it was very peaceful when they decided, okay, listen, you got me. And at that time, he had his Bible on him. He had his Bible, guys. This is what his Bible looked like. Check that out.
That's his Bible?
Yeah. The descendants, some of the I think it was descendants of the slave owners, they had this in their possession and they turned it over to archives. And so that's how we're able to see the front and the back cover was missing on his Bible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where's the Bible at now?
It's in National Archives or something like that. But he was in the cave reading. That's how he entertained himself for six days, I think it was, that he was in hiding. It was 6 days or 6 weeks. I don't know, but I think it was 6 weeks.
I thought it was for a couple of months.
I don't know. I think he was in hiding. We'll put it like that. He was in hiding. They found him. Well, you already know how it goes. Let me tell you what their mistakes are. This is what I gather. Number one, y'all, this is gonna be funny. All right. The first mistake, Nat was saying, look, guys, we need to keep going. They wanted to stop at Parker's farm or somewhere like that. And he was like, look, I know y'all are tired, but we got to keep going. They're going to catch up with us. We ain't got time to rest. I want y'all to think about this outside of this experience mentally. Okay. We ain't got time to rest. I want y'all to follow it. Okay. So they wanted to rest, losing sight, losing focus. And that's how they caught up to him. That's one of the mistakes. Second mistake, he told them, he insisted on using axes and things that didn't make noise. He didn't want guns. He wanted axes and stuff like that because you can kill somebody. They may holler for a second, but then it's over. But when these people got in behind them, they got guns. You see, that was another mistake. When they were running to these places and killing folks, they should have been stealing their weapons.
Well, weren't they going into the homes and actually taking the guns from inside of the homes and using those, when they were inside? Because I feel like that was one of the reasons that they did get caught too, is because it was so loud. Like people could hear the gunshots. Yeah. And I know they didn't bring their own weapons, but they were deciding instead of using axes, they would just use guns because it's faster, but it's a little loud.
Yeah. So they slipped on that one. All right. Another thing, alcohol. Oh, Lord. When I saw this, I said, come on, man. They were going into these homes and they were getting drunk.
Oh.
They were going there like, man, look at here. You know, I'm sure they didn't have this kind of alcohol in the slave quarters, okay? So they were seeing this. This is what happens. We lose our focus.
Mm-hmm.
And it costs us, not only in history, but in now, every day. So there are a lot of messages, guys, and these mistakes they made were
That
not
we
too
see
far
today.
apart. All right. They
Mm-hmm.
got sidetracked. And then there was a communication breakdown because it had grown so big, nobody was listening.
Ah.
Everybody was trying to figure it out their own way.
Mhm.
Now, I want to hear from you guys. When you hear those things that shows that they made mistakes, what do you think? How do you think that compares to today? Start with you, Charlie. When you hear those mistakes.
I mean, with those mistakes, I mean, I would think, and this is just me, I would think that if you started something, you stay to the course. You know, it's not about, okay, we're going to take a break, or we're going to, we have time to, you know, to take a drink. But, you know, if it's the case that you feel like you need it, then, you know, like you were saying, collect the alcohol and the guns and you store it up, because whatever the course is, everybody got to stick to the course until it's done. If we have 100 houses that we have to hit, no celebration until 100 is done. And then now, like you said, once you reach whatever your goal is, that, okay, what is our next step going to be? Are we going to go celebrate now? Or are we going to remove ourselves from the scene to where, you know, hey, you know, there's a way out when all this is done. And I think that, you know, we was talking, you know, last week about what's going on, being angry. My thing is that if you're going to be angry, take action. Start taking action now. And we don't give up until after the election in November. But, you know, we got to stick to the course. You know, we can't be wavering along the way. You know, hey, work hard and break later.
Yeah, right. What did you think, Jasmine, about those breakdowns that caused them to the mistakes they made?
Well, I feel like, you know, with one of the examples being like the whole alcohol thing, you know, when you don't, I feel like when they didn't have anything, you know, so I felt like it's one of those moments where it's like, oh, I can sneak this real quick, or I can, you know, enjoy the things that I've always wanted to enjoy when I wasn't able to, but they didn't realize that the things that you're thinking about doing now, if you stay on the right track, you can probably enjoy that at a later time. You know, they were just thinking, you know, oh, mine, 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 mine. So I do feel like it was just a lot of oppression, and they just didn't know, once they had something in their possession, they didn't know how to stray away from it because it was just right there for them.
That's a good point. That's a good point. What do you think, Heather?
I don't know. I'm a little. I mean, that's sad. I mean that we got to have some kind of self-restraint. I think sometimes I think that, you know, you got this smart guy who's leading a bunch of people who are illiterate into this war, and he didn't set up or think about the long run of behavior and the thought of not having something and celebrating too early. And those are things I don't think he thought about it to keep them on the pace of in the right direction. I don't know. I want to go back and fix it so that
I know, right? I was literally thinking the same thing. Like, if we had a do-over, I'm sitting here thinking, like, let me lead them. Let me teach them. I'm like, look, you gotta be quiet. Y'all gotta listen to me now. If you can't listen, I don't need you, because y'all gonna get us scared. And if you're scared, don't come, because scared people will get you killed.
Yes.
And I think that they just kind of stopped listening to him. I think that he lost control of the group. That happens. Maybe they had too many. But my thing is, do you guys think they thought that they were going to be able to kill everybody? Or did they just want to hit 2 or 3 and say, look, that's good? I mean, like what I'm just wondering. I'm wondering. I know we'll never
I
know.
wonder.
But
I know you talked about they went from, well, and I saw it. They went from house to house. I wonder if they were mapping their way out of slavery some kind. They thought they were, and they just they didn't have a map to know.
I think they
how to make.
did. I think they did have a map because they said Cherry, the wife,
Mhm.
they were really harassing her during the time they were looking for him. They were really harassing her because they were like, "No, you got something, you know something, and notes and maps and stuff like that." They were actually looking for that. During the search, they said they were looking for that, and it was hidden in her quarters. So he
Wow.
did have something, and they were able to get that from her. And then it was so bad that once he got caught, she had to leave. And back then, it was punishment to send them to the South because they knew it
Wow.
was rough in the South. They sent them up our way, my way, our way, Charlie, Alabama, Mississippi. You ain't coming out. You end up there.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
So
one thing I thought about with this too is I'm sixth generation granddaughter of Richard Allen, who was a slave, and he bought himself out of freedom. I don't know if y'all know who he is, but he founded the AME churches. And
okay.
so I was reading about him a couple of weeks ago, and it dawned on me when I was reading about him. He was born in 1760 and he died in 1831. So, but he was a free slave, and I had learned that he actually bought his freedom and moved to Philadelphia and started the church. But he also, him and his first wife were a station for the Underground Railroad. So they would get slaves and bring them into freedom, runaway slaves. And Delaware is right next to Virginia, where Nat Turner was. And I was like,
Yeah.
golly, if he only that they were both ministers, if they could have connected, he could have got him out of there. Because
Imagine if they would have had Wi-Fi back
yeah.
then, right?
Yeah, the technology
They
we
were
have
in the
now.
woods.
Back then.
He probably, but Nat was smart. That's the thing he had going for him. He could read. He was smart. He had the ability to get people to follow along. I just think lack of structure, is what cost them this. But they took out 55 people before they got out of there. I don't know how many plantations they hit, Terry. Terry said how many plantations? AME founder. We gonna talk, girl. I didn't know that, Heather. We gotta
Yeah.
talk about him now. We definitely gotta talk about him. You're a
Yeah.
descendant of him. So
Uh-huh.
all your people just hung out together. Y'all was just starting churches and being successful and everything back in
Yeah.
those days.
That's my mother's side. Greenwood
Your
is my
mother.
daddy's side.
Oh, okay. All
Yeah.
right, that's good.
But
So your
just think,
grandmother,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
that's your dad's mom?
Yeah, that was the survivor of the
The
1921.
survivor, the
Yeah.
mom. Okay, nice, nice. Okay, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
What was I going to say? I can't remember, but I don't know.
Terry
I
said,
just,
"You famous."
yeah,
She is Terry. She's a doll. She's a doll.
but I thought about that because I went and looked at that map of Nat Turner today. I went and looked. I said, Delaware, I think, is next to Virginia. He could have got away. He could have escaped because it was around the same time that Richard Allen was alive that he could have
Yeah,
saved them. And it's just
yeah.
heartbreaking that, I mean, we don't, it's horrible.
It is horrible. Every time I hear this story, I always see it differently. If they had gotten away, we'd be
Yeah.
telling a different type of story. And let me tell you guys, for the record, why didn't they want this story told? Because they don't want us to do it again. Okay.
And they still feel that way because what happened after they did these mass murders, what ended up happening was they made the laws much harsher, and even the people on the south, the abolitionists on the north, even was scared to want to free slaves after these 55 white folks that came up murdered.
Oh
So
yeah.
I mean, the fear is there, but you think about it till today, white people are terrified that one day they think we're gonna wake up and start killing them all for the things that they've done to us.
It was because of this situation. One of the things that they punished us for, no more black people are going to learn how to read now because
Yeah.
they will use their education to come against us. I want y'all to pay attention. They cared more about him learning than him killing.
Yeah.
Let that one sink in, guys. They didn't say anything about, oh no, we're going to make sure that nobody gets to kill anybody else again. I mean, they were kind of pissed about that, but they were more pissed because he was educated.
Mm-hmm. And
And
that was more, they were more afraid of that because they didn't want them to feel, they didn't want the enslaved people to feel that they had a one up on them or better than them or anything like that. They wanted to keep them down here, you know, and education would definitely stop that. So
that's right.
that was more fear than being killed. And it's crazy to think that that's more important to them.
Well, literacy is, go ahead.
No, just think about all the inventions that black people have created that they say they didn't do.
Yeah.
You know, that's something else to think about as well. Because when a couple of days ago, I put in the video of, I can't remember his name now, the guy that did the inventions that Graham Bell was upset because he wouldn't sell them to him.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's interesting. So Nat was finally found, guys. The story just gets worse. We're going to talk about exactly what all they did to them after it, you know, in this guilty phase. But they found him. Of course, he had court. Now, back then, slaves were held in a court of Oyer and Termini. However you say that. That's where they held court. Now, you know, it probably wasn't fair. I'm sure they had an attorney. He didn't call any witnesses. He didn't do anything. And Nat surprisingly said he was not guilty, right? They were looking at him like, wait a minute, now you done confessed about all this and you go in here and say you're not guilty. Yes, I am. He felt like he wasn't guilty because he felt like he was doing what God wanted him to do. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't feel guilty. That's what he told me.
Play at insanity.
I don't think it would have worked. I think they knew he was going to die when he sat in that chair. Okay, it was just a matter of how long, how fast are we going to do this?
True.
Right? So he pleaded not guilty. His lawyer was William Parker, and the presiding judge was Jeremiah Cobb. Now, like I said, the defense was non-existent. It was like it was not there. So he's found guilty, and he was sentenced to die. They were going to hang him. Okay. So he's caught now. 200 people have died as a result. It's pretty much looking like a failed operation at this point. Okay. I think they're owning it at this point, and people are upset. Like, you're not here. Our people are dying. If you could have stopped this, if you had come out of hiding, it was you they wanted. I don't think so. I think they were going to kill him anyway because they were on edge. It was very tense time because they're looking at this as they don't even want to call it a rebellion. They want to call it something minor because they don't want black people to feel like they had that kind of power in this country. Like, it wasn't a rebellion. It wasn't all that bad. You know, they're trying to downplay it because it makes them look bad that this black man led a revolt to kill so many people. So, I mean, to kill so many white people. So he's found guilty. And guess what he said? When the judge said, well, sir, do you have anything to say? You about to die. You want to say anything first? He said, I have nothing more to say than I have already said. They said he was very calm. He was at peace. He was ready. I don't know. I've probably been squirming, Heather. What about you? I would have been like trying to still fight.
I probably would have still been trying to fight, but I sure would have been happy and proud of myself. I really would.
I think he was, guys. I think he was like, yeah, but we got you. We got some too. But he was calm, so they hung him. Now, here's the thing that's disheartening. When he came down from being hung, they sent him to these doctors. First thing they did, they skinned him. They took all his skin off. They baked it down into grease. They made purses, wallets, all kinds of stuff from his skin. They beheaded him. Yeah. They beheaded him, and they wanted to test it. In their minds, what kind of end is this? He's smart. Guess they got to test that. And you guys know for over 180 years, they passed his skull around.
I did not know that. Wow. Hmm.
This is it.
Oh my God.
They passed it around. It was in 2016 that they finally gave it to his family. Their purpose of doing it this way. They didn't want Black people to have a place they can go and have a shrine for him. Oh no, we're going to make sure they dismembered him. They ate parts of him. They used parts for trophies. They didn't want you to have any kind of, they wanted to make sure that he was never thought of, or we would never know of him ever again. This is real, guys. This is right here in the United States of America. This is what Black people had to go through. I know it's tight, but it's right. This is real. This happened. Now, are you mad? What you're feeling right now? That's
anger,
good.
pure anger.
That's good. That's good because it can be healthy. And I hope you hold on to it on election day. And I want you to release it. I want them to see that an educated person has a choice now, right? And you use that choice to do something good now. This is not for you to get mad and go out and try to start one. I am saying my disclaimer right now. I am not here on the Ella Johnson Show to incite any kinds of riots, okay? I want you to get mad, but I want you to use it in a different way. I want you to use it as ballot. That's where I want you to use it. So this is what they did to him. They wanted to also let Black people see he wasn't a messenger of God. That's what you thought? Just skin and bones now. Ain't that something? Isn't that so? I mean, that should do something to you inside, Heather.
Oh, it's making me mad.
Yeah, they wanted to make sure that we didn't see him as someone that we should be excited about what he did. Like, no, we don't want that story out, because and then you know what else they start doing? They start going to our church services, because they felt like, wait a minute now, he was able to get this done. Was he doing it at church? Is he telling them something that ain't in that Bible? Oh, see, they were worried about that. They're still worried about that. See, imagine if we get the rest of the Bible, the part that's missing. Imagine what we may find, Charlie. What do you think we might find if we get the whole thing? Or do you even think that what we're being taught as Christians today, this is a good question. Do you guys think that what we're being taught as Christians today is the same thing they were being taught? Start with you, Jasmine.
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know, to be honest. I don't know.
What do you think, Charlie? Heather, what do you think?
Well, I think that kind of implied that the reason why they put religion on us is to make us docile and to keep us illiterate. So I think they used it at that time to justify why we were slaves. And that's somewhat still the case today, that we're not in our right place in the first place. That's why Trump wants to go back. So in some ways, yeah and no. They are still kind of, they think that way, but they can't deliver it that way anymore today, because we're not going to put up with it.
And yeah, I feel like it's how you interpret, because if you think about back in the day when they would flip scriptures to make it fit their narrative, you know what I mean? So scriptures wouldn't necessarily mean, like when they talk about slavery, yes, slavery is in the Bible, but they would definitely say, oh, slavery is in the Bible, so that means it's right. No, that doesn't mean it's right. You know what I mean? So if you are taking what somebody is telling you and just believing that and not doing your own research and actually, reading it on your own and understanding it on your own, then of course you're going to be taught the same as what you were taught back then.
And that goes back to the reason why they didn't want us to be literate. That was the reason,
so they can
to
keep us
docile and following their belief.
Mm-hmm.
But
well, I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
Even today in churches, different people interpret scriptures differently because
Okay.
one person can see it one way, another person can see the same scripture, but their interpretation is totally different. And I would think back then that it was really based upon if they read something based upon how they perceived it was how they really shared it with the ones that was listening. Because today, like with those books of the Bible that they left out, now you have the opportunity to go research and find out, what's in those books.
We're going to talk about that on the Ella Johnson show. That's going to be
Yeah,
a show topic. Yeah.
But it's all about interpretation. What a person
But they didn't have anything to
perceived
compare
during
it to. They didn't have anything to compare it to like we do,
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I wonder what it was because y'all know the tides change. So whatever he was preaching the first time and he started changing it, that's what made them like, oh, wait a minute. So I wonder what it was that he said. I know we saw a little bit in the movie. What is it that he started preaching again that got him beaten? You see that part where they beat him? It's because he was changing his narrative. He was changing. He was like, I can't sit here and keep lying to my people. Imagine if the preachers did that today. I can't sit here and keep lying to my people. Because we have so much trust in the pastors. I don't know about you guys, but I was raised, you don't question the pastor. You better go sit down somewhere, Ella, with your little heathen self. You don't sit around and talk about the pastor. You don't question them. You just don't do it. If they tell you you can't wear pants in church, then you just. But I was that inquisitive child that would say, well, Mama, why we can't wear pants? What's wrong? I never got an answer. Just do it, Ella.
Yeah.
Well, also too is when you look at our parents, they were not as educated as we are today, and they could only pass on basically what they knew. And but today, I think that we parents deprive their kids of learning or ensuring that that they are learning and they're not just I'm not saying that teachers do it a different way, but I think that every parent should care enough for their kids to know what they're learning. I don't think enough parents nowadays really get involved in the schools to go see what their kid is learning, and then even with that, when the kid come home, instead of letting the kid just do what they want to do, hey, look, don't you have homework? Okay, no, I don't have any homework. Okay, well, you might not have brought any homework home, but we have some homework.
Oh, I know that's right. That's right.
And I think that if they did that, then now they are controlling the narrative as far as their kids are concerned. They are taking control of, my kid might not be getting it at school, but anything that they're missing, they're going to get it here at home, to where when they go out on their own, they might not follow the blueprint, but they're going to have the foundation to be able to determine, to weigh things. Okay, this right, this wrong. Okay, if this is not meeting my values, what am I going to do about it? Am I going to go along to get along, or am I going to stand boldly on what I truly believe? And I think that those are some of the things that's going to allow us the opportunity to be able to overcome the divide and conquer, to where now we can fight back. We have the foundation to stand on and broadcast what my beliefs are and what I'm willing to do and what I'm not willing to do. And until we do that, I think we're gonna always be, as the expression, gonna be behind the eight ball. We're gonna always be accepting things that is a lot less than what we actually deserve. that's one of the reasons why, like with my players, I always encourage them to. I ask them the question: are you still reading? Even though you're out of school, but are you still reading? Because to me, personal development is crucial for the future, especially the way the speed at where things are changing. And I think that when like what's going on with Trump now, true, you might not be able to just put your hand on it to make the correction, but if you prepare yourself to understand and learn about
Right.
what happened in the past and what's
Yeah.
happening now, and you look at both and say, okay, this is not where I want to be a year from now, 3 years, 5 years from now. And
Right.
the ones that's close to me, what am I going to do about them changing? Are they going to
Right.
still make the excuses? Well, oh, woe is me, or are you going to roll your pants leg up, tie your shoelaces, and say, okay, hey, look, let's get down and do it. And that's
Right.
that's just how I
Yeah.
look at a lot of the things that's going on now. You got to be
Yeah.
willing to go the distance. And I think
Right.
that was something that Nat didn't plan. Hey, we're gonna do this, but when we get it done, what is our next step?
Right. Yeah.
How are we going to prepare that? I think anything you do, if it's not totally on the right side,
Yeah.
or even if it's on the right side, you should have a way out.
Right. Absolutely. I agree.
You know,
So
we don't.
let me ask you guys this question. Do you think in today's time we would accept a pastor doing something like this?
Some
Jasmine,
do.
what do you think about that? If we heard of a pastor, because he was a pastor, and they just had to trust him and believe that what he was saying, he's telling us to go kill people. I'm sure somewhere in the Bible it doesn't say anything about killing people, but they obviously trust him. So if he's a minister of those days and we're sitting here talking about him, do you think something like that would be acceptable now? Because ministers, you can't even get them to talk about race issues, let alone put a rebellion together.
I
How do you
don't
think
even I don't even think a minister would even be bold enough to even suggest something like that in this day and age. To be honest, I don't think it would, and if they did, I really don't think people would be willing to do it. I mean, I wouldn't. I don't think I would.
is it
I'm just
because
being
we think we
honest.
would go to prison? I mean, that might be a crazy question, Heather, but like, let me just, I mean, I know that I can't ask you, hey, if I recruited you to let's go, let's do our own thing. I know you wouldn't because, of course, there are laws against killing people. Um, but like, I'm just wondering because he was a minister and I don't hear a lot of people talk. We talk about it, but we don't talk about it together. Like he was a minister that did this. Do we care that he was a minister or does that matter? Heather, what do you think?
In some ways, it does to certain people. We have had ministers, not like recently, but what's his name? Yahweh Ben Yahweh down in Florida. He was from Oklahoma. He actually had people going out killing people. Um, and it was based on racial issues. They were killing white people too. He was another Nat Turner. But would I've done it in this day and age? No. But would I have followed Nat Turner? Yes, I would have back then because I think it would have been more justified for why we are
Circumstances
doing
were
it.
different.
But
Yeah.
for today, no, not unless you put me in a situation where I was in a corner and I had no choice. And everybody in that room is white and I had to kill my way out the door. Then yeah, I'd have no choice. But no, I wouldn't do that today because I think the laws are a little bit more in favor of us than they once were. I mean, there was no justification when he was a slave. for the stuff
Right.
that white folks did. And to me, the Bible kind of justifies people being able to get out of situations like that, because it wasn't justified in the Bible for the things that they were doing to black
Of
people.
course. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
just think about what you just read about what they did to his body, desecrated his body the way they did. Those are evil people. So them killing 55, they should have killed 155 or 155,000 for what they were doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he knew going into it, there was a chance that he's going to die. Even
Yeah.
Martin Luther King knew that they would eventually get him to. So I have this question for the audience. I asked my guests, but I want to ask you guys as well. The state's immediate response to the rebellion was to ban black literacy. Why was a black man with a book considered more dangerous than a black man with an axe? I really, really want to hear you guys answer that, because we see educational gag orders today restricting black history. If you remove the history of resistance from the classroom, are you effectively re-enslaving the mind of the next generation?
Yes, you are.
Very, very important question.
Yes, you are. I think that black people literate being literacy is so important. Reading, and I tell kids this every day, when you open up a book and read it, it'll take you all over the world. And that's what happened to Nat Turner. He opened up a book, started reading, and his mind started to expand on things that he can do. Your accomplishments become bigger and better. You get an opportunity to learn who you are and where you fit in this world when you learn to read and write. And that's what happened for him. He was able to lead 55 people because he was literate and could lead them to that. His mind was open up. A book happened with that. I use this thing every year in school where I have black kids, well, not black kids, all kids understand how important reading should be to black people, but why it was important for black people not to read to white people. Richard Wright does a story about him having to get a library card, and he goes through all these channels to be able to get a library card. That's important, and those are the things that we've got to make sure our kids understand. Our kids, it's not that they don't value education, they just don't know why they need to. Right after slavery, we knew we had to be literate. That's why education was so important to us all the way up until the 70s, and eventually literacy for us has just kind of slumped off. It's not that important, but it should be important, because look at Malcolm X. He was scary to white people because he was educated. The same
Oh,
way with Huey P. Newton and the Black
yes.
Panthers.
Yes, absolutely. So this is what I'm trying to say to get you guys. Education, we started the broadcast talking about how education gives you choices. Because when you know who you are and you're able to articulate your history, and you can make it known that you're not going to get in my head. Like, I'm not Willie lynched right now. I am not thinking about that. He tried it. That's what we need to say about the Willie Lynch letter, right? He tried it, because ultimately what he was trying to do, and y'all know, because we talked about that, we covered that, but that was part of the plan, to divide us, to keep us angry, and to always make sure we are loyal to whom? The master. That is why you will find us always fighting with each other, because that was always the plan. And we got to break that cycle. We got to break that. There's so much division in the black community. It just blows my mind. I mean, we probably couldn't get 10 people together if we had to do something like this. Because you're gonna have somebody, well, I'm not going out there, I'm not messing up my career. No, I'm not doing that because I got too much to lose. I got good money coming in my doors. So I'm not trying that. No, I'm good just where I am. I don't need anything. Everybody else need to fend for themselves. Does that sound like some of the things that you might hear from us?
Very much
Yes.
so.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes.
So
We got a
I mean,
situation here that's kind of crazy.
uh-huh.
We got a elected official who is very, very combative with the state. She's in state legislature, so she's very combative with the people down there. And there's a big bill that she wants to pass through that has to do with Greenwood descendants getting a scholarship. Well, she's so combative with, and we live in a red state, and they're not nice people either. And these are people that could fit perfectly when Nat Turner was in office. So I mean, when Nat Turner was alive, but she is, so they don't pass any of her bills. And so I seen a lady on Facebook saying, well, she's not going for the okie doke. Well, how is that helping us? If she's not, she's just going to be combative with these people and not find a way to work across the aisle. We got to figure something out because we're not getting what we need in our community. She's not somebody we need to put in that chair. The sad part is Black people think just because somebody's Black, we need to have them sitting in that seat. And sometimes that's not a healthy choice either.
Girl, you gonna start something with that one. No, we got to support our own, Heather. We have to always elect Black. Listen, I am all for people that are for the cause, but I want to hear it. Don't just think you got my vote just because of the color of your skin. I'm telling you right now, that's not a good assumption to make when it comes to me. I really want to know, because all we got to do is get somebody in there that 6 months in, they're going to sell out.
Yep.
Look, Ella, I was really just in it to try to get paid, girl. I'm trying to start a business, and I was promised some things. I'm sorry. You know, you don't know if you're getting that kind of person. That's why when I said the very first Black History show we did for this month, I said you got to always hold your leaders accountable. I'm talking about the pastor, from the pulpit to the school, the principal, everybody. If you take the role of being a leader, you also become a target. So you got to be ready. You are there for the people, like real guys. I got another interesting question before we get out of here. Y'all gonna like this one. I want you that are watching to answer this one too. Right now, today, if Nat Turner was alive, I want y'all to tell me he's gonna be in one of three places. Would he be in a pulpit, a classroom, or a prison cell? Where would he be?
If he what? Now, repeat the question again.
If he were alive today, where would we put him? Where would we? If Nat Turner was out here and he said, "Okay, Ella, I want you to point me in the direction where you think I fit best," will we put him in a classroom? Will we put him in the pulpit, or would he just go ahead and go to prison, where some people may think he belongs? Where do you think he would end up? Where would he
if
be
he
better?
was alive
With the
now,
55?
knowing that he did what he did, or just
Yeah.
Well, yeah, knowing what he did.
Oh, he'd be free.
he
He'd be an advocate.
I was gonna
He'd
say
be on the
yeah,
Ella Johnson show.
Yes.
he would
I'm
be
like,
being
bro.
interviewed all over the place. Yeah.
I'm like, bro, what were you thinking?
Oh my God.
So where would he be, Heather? What's your choice?
He'd have a statue. He'd be traveling the world, telling his story. He'd be everywhere. He certainly wouldn't be in prison.
Right.
He certainly wouldn't be in prison.
What about you, Jasmine? Where would he be?
I think pulpit, since that was kind of what he did. He was a preacher. He liked to, well, I don't know if he liked, but that's what he did. He preached, he taught the word. So I think pulpit, he would definitely, I feel like he would do that now, and he would, it would be a lot easier to do it now because he would be able to teach people that have knowledge, and other than what he had before where they didn't have any knowledge of the word.
What about you, Charlie? Where do you think he should be if he were here alive?
I think he would be fighting to not be in prison, but I don't think he would be in a classroom, because even though he was considered a person of the word, his attitude was radical, and he's like one of those people that would be always speaking out about what he believed and what he feel like should take place. And it would probably be to the case that you would have people that just want to take him out for that particular reason, based upon how he approached things. Because if it's the case that, I think in today's time, his mindset would probably shift, and I think that he would learn ways to really use the system to be able to get done the things that he feel like was most important.
Yeah.
In some
Yeah.
ways, I kind of thought he was I thought he was becoming, I don't know if this is the right way, delusional to religion. It became, I don't know, it seemed like he was getting away from it, the distance of it. I think that they used it to trick him for control and to control the people. Eventually, I think he wouldn't have been a minister. I do.
I
Maybe
don't
he
think
would be
we
the
would receive.
president.
Yeah, he could have been our first
I don't
Obama.
think we would receive him as a minister now. Not with the way everybody like, he's too radical. No, bro, we ain't trying to, you just preaching black. We have a congregation full of all kinds of folks now. So we can't just be, I think his messaging would change. I think it would get more toward, I don't know. I don't think I would want him in prison. I'm stuck between the pulpit and the classroom, to be honest with you. I just want him to be received, his message. And I think that we as a people sometimes can be a little, intimidating and judgmental, that we forget, that's what I think.
But to get your message across nowadays, you don't have to be in the classroom, nor you have to be in the pulpit.
Good point.
To get your message across.
Good point.
Because like you doing your podcast, I mean, there's people that have podcasts where they have 100,000 people or more on their podcast. So if you have millions of followers. So if you have all these people following you and you are sharing your belief, it's possible that you would have people following you that's just as radical as you are.
That's so true. That is so true. Guys, some of the laws, some of the things that they did back then, do you think they've implemented it? Because I don't think that back then when they said, okay, you guys, we're going to patrol your gatherings. Look at the laws that have happened since they did this. It's almost like they're going to make sure we're going to keep this stuff around. We're going to call it something different, but we're going to keep these things around, like policing, and we don't want to see too many of y'all get together. Those are the kind of things they did back then, right? I think there's still a fear of us learning, and there's too many of us coming together. Do you get a sense that that's still an issue, Heather?
Oh God, yes, that is definitely still an issue. Laws are definitely meant for us to be enforced against us, not them. So I mean, rules change with them, but the laws were made for us.
Yeah, I agree. Have you guys enjoyed this conversation tonight?
Yes, I have.
How was it for you, newbie? Jasmine, the newbie, how was it for you tonight?
I learned a lot. I came in nervous, but this was good. It opened up conversation. It made you realize that you can learn a lot from just listening to other people and just, opening up a topic and just discussing it, because you don't always have to, you don't know everything. You're never going to know it all. So I learned a lot. I had a great time, and you were right. Something I might want to do again.
I told you. I think that because it's good to get fresh voices on the show every now and then, and different perspectives. And then you're a young lady, and I just want to see, because you're a very intelligent young lady, I want to definitely make sure that we're touching everybody, all generations, because you may see people, Jasmine, that I won't ever see. And so you can tell them about the Ella Johnson Show and about them learning about certain things. If we took a poll today of young people, how many of them do you think would know about Nat Turner?
Not many.
Because they're taking all of this education out of schools. They don't teach hardly any Black history in schools anymore. So from high school on to college, unless you're in a specific course for Black history, you're not going to get the education unless you go out and find it on your own. And the younger generation isn't looking to learn about history, let alone almost anything. They're too busy being on social media. And the best way to bring that awareness is to put it on social media, podcasts like this, you know, TikTok videos, whatever you can do to bring awareness to them. That's the only way they're going to learn, because it's not in schools. And it's frustrating that it's not in schools.
I think if churches were smart, they would realize this is where you're going to get your young people. Politicians, this is where you're going to get your young people. You got to get on this social media game, because this may be the only Bible some people will ever read. Think about that.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why it's important that we speak truth. We can't hold back just because, well, you can't ever compromise truth. It has to come out the way it needs to come out. But I just want to thank everybody, all of you guys. This is something else I dug up too in my search. I saw that in Southampton County, they had this road called Blackhead Signpost Road. And this is where they believe that some of the people that were in this rebellion, that they had cut their heads off, and it was hanging on a post. And anybody that came in there, it was like a fear tactic to remind them, you see, this is what happens. Try it if you want to. So they always make sure that they instill fear. Remember the Willie Lynch letter. Fear is definitely one of the things that they want. Fear and anger and distrust. Y'all to remember that. Fear,
That's
anger, and
there
distrust. Huh?
That's there today.
Yeah, they just renamed it. They renamed it now to Signpost Road or something like that. They took out the blackhead, but that was why it was called Blackhead, is because they were cutting off the heads of black slaves and hanging them on a post as people came into the city. And so just recently they renamed it so that it takes that out. Now, a lot of people had to oppose it and go back and forth, city council and stuff, but they finally got it accomplished. And so now they changed the name.
So that, you know, the sad part about all this is none of this will, I mean, as for right now, has never been told in any history book in America. Not Malcolm X, not this Blackhead Signpost Road, none of that. They don't want that truth out there because they don't want people to know what true monsters they were to us. And it's crazy because I watch people who come into America and they don't even have a clue what Black people really went through in America. They don't really know what slavery was like in America. They got this totally wrong idea about Black people in America and our history and why we are so well they think we're so angry with white people. One of the biggest qualities about Black people, which is also one of our biggest barriers, is that we're so compassionate, and that's kept us from getting them.
You think so? You guys think that?
Yeah.
So what should we
Very
be?
forgiving.
How should we be?
I don't think I ever want to live in a world where I'm that angry that I want to do what they did to us.
Yeah.
I think we're better people than that, but I think that we do have to get them back, but it's not that way.
We should get them back. How? She said, no, we got to get some
Voting.
back. There it is.
Voting and, reparations, they owe us. And so, they get to live off.
I'm telling you right there.
They get to live off the residuals of what they did to us, and theirs is the positive side. Ours is the negative side, but we're supposed to forget what happened to us, but they can live and be happy with what happened for them. So, I want some get back. And you get to know that your grandma and grandpa was kings and queens. We lost that.
That's right. Good point. Good point, Heather. And when you think of companies like IBM and Train and a lot of those companies like that, we're going to hear about it tomorrow night. These guys are making billions of dollars. And it was all from an idea that started with slaves.
Yep.
And now they're making, Black people have lost hundreds of billions of dollars in revenue because of something they created, somebody is making and banking off of. Now, there was some of them that were able to go back and get their money. They're like, oh, no, I got to get me. There's some that did that, but not everybody. Some people died before they had the opportunity. And I don't know if their family members picked up on it. But we're going to hear about all that tomorrow night, guys. We got a lot of Black inventions that you think are invented by white people. I mean, just for one ironing board. We say it every night, right, Heather? There's a whole list, a whole list of them that I found a little controversy about the peanut butter though. We'll talk about that tomorrow night because I know we've always been told that George Washington Carver and all this, but I found a little twist in that. We're gonna talk about it tomorrow night here. So I want to thank you guys again for being here.
Thank
I
you.
want to say hello to those of you that tuned in. I noticed that I have some people from my hood. Yes, I am from Monroeville, Alabama. Y'all remember when Charlie was introducing himself and he says he's from Mobile, Alabama? You know, when we say Alabama, we always put an emphasis on that, right? Because I find myself doing it too, Charlie. It's not just you, because I am from the country, right? Listen, how many of y'all, this is how I'm going to prove how country I am. Raise your hand on this panel if you eat collard greens and cornbread with your fingers.
Me.
She was so proud of it too.
That's the best way.
Charlie, or you Bouger? Do you?
No, I do the fork. Matter of fact, I had some before the program.
Well, you ain't that. Then you done.
You bougie.
You bougie. You Bouger. I can't deal with you.
Well,
Jasmine.
I mean, you know, when you
I eat my cornbread with my fingers.
I've had the opportunity to travel
greens.
around the world a couple of times, so you know, you learn to adjust in the environment that you are in. So
Whatever, man. Look, I'm telling you right now, Heather, when I come down
beyond
to
the
Tulsa,
fingers these days.
if I come to Tulsa and I know you're gonna invite me to your house and I know you're gonna cook me a good Southern meal, I'm eating with my fingers. So
And I'm
don't
with
invite no bougie people over because I'm not gonna change. I'm telling you. People are like, oh my God, Ella's just so nice on her show, but she country as hell. Yes. She
Monroeville,
is.
heart of the country.
Yes.
It keeps me grounded. Whenever I'm ready to write a book, I always like to go home because I like to smell the cows. I want to see chickens running around in the yard. And see, Jasmine is looking at me like, oh my God, Miss Ella, for real? Yes, baby. My mama used to say, Ella, don't get too friendly with them chickens because you might have to eat one of them tonight. Okay? And I just couldn't get past that. I'm like, oh, we're going to wring his neck? For what? You want to eat, don't you?
Put him on chopping block.
I see Dr. Simonia in the house, Monroeville. Listen, she's a country girl too. I saw Bernice Chambers here, country woman too. Nice to see you. I saw you also, Eugenia, Sabrina. Sabrina's from your hood. She's from Mobile, Alabama. See, they're a little bougie in Mobile. You know, Monroeville, there's like, you know how we have that 2-3 lights in and out kind of thing. No, Monroeville has progressed a little bit better. But
Monroeville,
anyway,
where is that near?
What, Monroeville?
Uh-huh.
It's near Montgomery.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
it's kind of like in between Montgomery and Mobile.
Yeah, in between Montgomery and Mobile.
It's what most people relate to is
Don't say it.
Don't say it.
He's gonna say it. He's gonna say it, and he's gonna get me. He's gonna say it, and I'm not gonna be able to stop talking. Go ahead, tell him what you was about to say.
But how most people relate to Monroeville is To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh, he said it.
Because every year, I mean, you know, there's people that they still do the play on town square, don't they, Ella?
Yeah.
And they have people come from all over the U.S.
He's like a spokesperson
to be a part of
He's
that.
actually sounding like a spokesperson.
They
Like,
do. They do a play for To Kill a Mockingbird. Oh wow!
Every year.
Do you not
do
like
you
that
ever
movie?
go, Charlie, for that? Do you go up there for that?
Not recently.
Well, I'm going to talk about that too during Alabama history because everybody applauds that that's what Monroe was all about. But, you know, we're going to talk about the real story behind To Kill a Mockingbird, how he was inspired. One was by these 9 kids, the Scottsboro boys, that were a white woman said that she raped them. That it was 2 white women, and they said these 9 black boys raped them. And then fast forward to Monroeville, there was a situation where a man by the name of Walter Lett was they accused him of raping a white woman. It seems to be always Sorry, white women, but it seems to be a lot of our massacres start behind a white woman. I'm sorry. Emmett Till, Tulsa, the list goes on. And in Monroeville, that's where that book was inspired from, that real event. But in true life, in real life, what happened with this guy, because in the book, they have it where he went to trial and they still hung him and all that kind of stuff. No, the real guy, they sentenced him to die in the prison there. Okay. But what happened is the court, I guess so many people wrote letters to try to save his life. The judge eventually said, okay, well, we'll just put you in prison. Well, why not just release him? He was not guilty. So every year, these people praise Monroeville. And I might piss off some people from Monroeville that praise it too. You just gonna have to be all right. Okay. Because my thing is, yes, he was kind enough. He was kind enough to represent this black man, but you got him to go to prison. Now, mind you, giving him credit, back then it was a brave thing for someone white to want to represent someone black. But here's the thing, would y'all do it now? Because see, fast forward some more years, Johnny D. McMillan, y'all remember the movie Just Mercy? That's from my hometown. We're gonna talk about that one too. Okay. So now this city, and I'm talking about my city, everybody's fair game, Black history. We praise this white man for representing a black man who eventually died. Now, he didn't die from being in prison. He died because he had TB and he got sick. He was brokenhearted after all of this, and he just didn't do well in jail. So he died before he was able to do his life sentence, if you will. And so now we have a black man who actually represented another black man and got him off from death row. Y'all remember the clip?
Yeah.
2 minutes. They uncovered that there was a lot of police corruption. Yeah. So if you're going to put him and recognize him, recognize the black man too. Yep. And all the lynchings that happened in Monroe. See, Charlie, this is your fault. I was getting ready to say goodnight.
I didn't do it. You wanted to talk about it anyway.
17 lynchings. That's right. How do you guys know how many? Where is the sign? Why isn't that on a pillar somewhere in downtown? I know you can sit it right next to the guy, Atticus, that we praise from To Kill a Mockingbird. Don't get me started. Charlie, it's your fault. We're going to get out of here, guys. Any last words before we go? Charlie, what would you like to say to everybody that you want them to learn from this story?
What I would say from everybody is tune in all month, because like Jasmine was saying, the days that I've been here, I've learned something every day. And, that's good. Knowledge is powerful, and one should never stop learning, because the more you learn, the more you're able to apply yourself. And a lot of the things that's coming out, I didn't know, but now that I know, it gives me the opportunity to do a little research of my own.
Sweet. Love it.
So tune in.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for that clip, Charlie. Heather?
I ditto what Mr. McCants said. I learned something every night. The other thing is, I think that we need to continue to push literacy, making sure that people can read, write, and do math.
Absolutely.
I think it's real. Jasmine, since you're the newbie, you're only a newbie one time, girl. You're going to be, you're like a permanent fixture for the show now that you've made this one. What would you like to say you want everybody to get from this story?
I would like to say, don't make Black history just in the month of February. It frustrates me that we get 1 month, you know what I mean? But don't make that the only time that you feel like you can go and do your research and, talk about it. If you have social media, post about it. That's one thing I do on my Instagram. I post something every day on my story, but I also have to get in the habit of not just doing it for Black History Month, doing it random, whenever you want, just so we're not thinking that that's the only time that we should celebrate, because we are American history. So, and that needs to be understood.
So would you like to come back tomorrow night, Jasmine, when we talk about Black inventions?
I can't tomorrow, but I will be back. I promise. I just can't.
All right. Sounds good. All right. So guys, Heather, I know you guys will be back tomorrow. I want you to come with like 10 people that you want us to talk about with Black inventions. I'm not going to do everything tomorrow night. I'm gonna bring
Okay.
some, but I want you guys to bring some too, because there's so many, and we only have so much time here, unless y'all want to sleep here. There's so many, but we're gonna pick out some that are significant, that are popular nowadays, so you can see the surprise that there were a lot of things that we did not get credit for. So I appreciate you guys for tuning into the Ella Johnson Show. Do me a favor and just like the broadcast. You guys share it. We got to get these views up. Like, seriously, y'all do that for me. Every single person that's watching, share the broadcast. We'll see you tomorrow night right here on the Ella Johnson Show, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Central. You guys have a great evening. And
You
we'll see you next
too.
time. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Ella Johnson Show. We'll see you next time.
We are supporters of the Ella Johnson Show. We live in South Korea. We have been watching Ella Johnson Show for like a year now. And we love her show. Her show is very inspirational, motivational, and educational.
If you would like to be a guest on the Ella Johnson Show, send an email to theellajohnsonshow@gmail.com or send a text message to 407-334-6997.
We love Ella Johnson Show.